What a busy week in the world of motocross. This week on the Vital MX pre-game show, we have more WSX news, Monster Energy Supercross news, Pro Motocross news, FIM Motocross World Championship news, and updates from Australia's ProMX series. Remember, interesting stuff happens everywhere, and this is your one-stop shop for all of that news. Where to even begin? Well, first off, working in chronological order, Eli Tomac announced that he is in for the entire 2024 Pro Motocross Series and the Super Motocross World Championship playoffs in September. Not only that, but he has also hinted that he has intentions to race in 2025. So it seems that it would be a safe bet to bet on the fact that he will be competing for the 2025 Monster Energy Supercross title. This is, of course, a brilliant addition to 2024 Pro Motocross and beyond. Speaking in the Yamaha press release, Tomac cited the fact that he has been feeling great on his motorcycle. He's getting in his groove now, and he feels as though he is going to be incredibly strong when Pro Motocross begins. He was speaking before Denver, of course, and that race did not quite go to plan as he crashed in practice and tweaked his thumb. It does not sound as though there is an actual injury there, but his thumb is uncomfortable and it certainly held him back in Denver's night show, so it will be interesting to see where he is at when gates drop in Salt Lake City. It is 2 thumbs down for Monster Energy Yamaha Star Racing, as Cooper Webb is also dealing with a thumb injury, although his is slightly more severe. The thumb injury, which is a tear in his UCL ligament, has been holding him back since Birmingham, Alabama. It was actually improving and not too serious, but he re-aggravated it in Philadelphia, and as many of you would have seen in the Denver coverage, he could barely hold on at the end of the 450SX main event. There is no word on his status for Pro Motocross, but it is incredibly likely that he will miss the opening round and beyond to let the injury heal. And in more Monster Energy Supercross injury news, Benny Bloss will miss the remainder of the indoor season after a practice crash pre-Denver. It sounds like a freak mechanical issue in the whoops caused the injury and resulted in a fracture to his arm and collarbone.
Last Wednesday I had a crash, just freak mechanical in the whoops and hit the ground pretty hard. Broke 2 bones, my ulna and my radius, and then also broke my collarbone.
Unfortunate for Benny, who has had a tremendous season in his beta debut. Jumping across to Australia quickly now, the 3rd round of the ProMX series was run at Gilman over the weekend, and Kyle Webster struck with a clean sweep of the motos. He went 1-1 on the day to Jed Beaton's 2-2. Todd Waters went 5-3 for 3rd overall. And in the MX2 class, Brody Connolly went 1-1 to win there. The ProMX event was not the biggest news to emerge from Australia this past week though, because Australia will finally return to the FIM Motocross World Championship calendar in 2025. In Front Moto Racing have inked a 5-year deal with Darwin, so the stop will feature on the calendar for many years to come, and it is pegged for a slot in early December. It will likely be paired with either China or Turkey, just to make the logistics a little nicer for the teams. Australia is, of course, quite a demanding trip from Europe, but Australian fans can rejoice because this has been demanded for so long, and finally, the prominent motocross nation will sit on the international calendar once again. Speaking of MXGP, the MX2 title fight took a turn over the weekend. Simon Lagenfelder clawed points back in the qualification heat and then Moto 1, but crashed early in Moto 2 and broke his collarbone. Lagenfelder had surgery on Monday, and as of yet, there is no word on his status for this weekend's round in Spain. Gasgas have been coy, and Lagenfelder has simply said that he will see us soon. Considering the injury and his position in a championship fight, he is still just 30 points down. I would certainly expect him to try to ride this weekend at the very least. Any points would be valuable. It hasn't been a great week for Red Bull Gas Factory Racing, as Jorge Prado lost the red plate in the MXGP division, and Simon Lagenfelder's MX2 teammate Marc-Antoine Rossi missed the Portuguese Grand Prix after a hard crash at the previous round in Trentino. He had a hematoma on his thigh and was generally battered and bruised, so it was decided that it was best for him to miss round 5. Probably a wise decision, considering how the conditions turned out. And there was more MX2 injury news as Monster Energy Triumph Racing's Camden McClellan, a podium finisher earlier this year, broke his fibula on Saturday and he will now miss some time. The team have simply said that it will be a lengthy recovery, so whether we will see him before the end of the current season remains to be seen. Nonetheless, in his 4 complete rounds as a factory rider, McClellan proved his worth and certainly opened some eyes within the paddock. That's not all though, because before we go, let's build on the WSX discussion from last week. So the contact that I mentioned did return an email stating that the 2024 FIM Supercross World Championship will certainly go ahead and they have big plans in the works. Since then, I have learnt that they have reached out to riders to race the series in a similar fashion to Ken Roczen. However, on the negative side, certain teams, rumoured to be Garibaldi, GSM, Bud Racing, to name but a few, have withdrawn from the series. It sounds like, none of this is official yet, there is still no communication from the series at all. But it sounds like with these teams pulling out, if there are no international stars to fill the gates, they will attempt to pull from the local markets, which will obviously work great in Australia and places like that. Abu Dhabi? Maybe not so much. Abu Dhabi, of course, has a 3-year contract with WSX, so they are expected to fill the calendar in 2024. We will receive that soon. Also interesting is the fact that Kurt Nickel has been brought in as a consultant for WSX. Kurt has a wealth of experience working with Nitro Circus, running his own holiday company in California, to name but a few of his recent accomplishments. So it will be most interesting and intriguing to see what happens next. There is simply no doubt that WSX has their back firmly up against the wall now, though, and to salvage the situation will require somewhat of a miracle. What a jam-packed episode that was. What a busy week in the world of motocross, and the next week is sure to be even busier as Monster Energy Supercross wraps up in Salt Lake City, and the 6th round of the FIM Motocross World Championship is run in Jorge Prado's hometown of Lugo in Galicia, Spain. We will have news from all of those series and whatever else happens in the world of motocross on next week's Vital MX pregame show. Thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and we will see you in 7 days' time.